Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're going to review and play Dead Moon Revenge on Phobos, a game on both the Oculus Store and the Steam Store. On the Steam Store, it's for the HTC Vive, Valve Index, and the Oculus Rift. It's by developer Mercury Aerospace Industries. It normally retails for $12.99. I actually bought this game on the Oculus Store for a little under $10. It was quite a while back, before the 1.0 release, and I was super excited after having played that first episode a while back, but I wanted to wait for the full release before finishing the game, before playing all the content available, because I wanted more of a start to finish experience with this game. I saw that the 1.0 had been released, so I thought, okay, well, let me go ahead and play it now. And right away, I noticed something wrong, that the fifth episode was still missing, but I had it right on Steam that it was available. Well, it turns out that the Steam Store version is on version 1.1, which does have that fifth episode, but the Oculus Store version is still on version 1.0, so we still haven't gotten that fifth episode. Regardless, this is the full game 1.0 release that I played through. I played through the entire game. It took me about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours maybe, to complete the game. It was about 30 minutes per episode, and I was super disappointed after coming back to the game a second time. The reason for that is because it really felt to me like I was playing the same level over and over and over again. So after having played the first level quite a while back and then coming back to the game and playing the second, third, and fourth levels, it just felt to me like it was just more of the same and there wasn't enough variety. Now obviously the levels do look somewhat different, but there's not enough differences that I can tell you right now what the differences were. You're at the end of the day, you're just going hallway through hallway, opening doors, finding keys to doors, going up elevators, and using the same weapons and shooting the same enemies throughout the levels. And the boss fights, in my opinion, were all the same. I really didn't notice any difference from the first boss fight to the last boss fight. In fact, the only real difference I can say through my whole time with the game is that on the very last level, episode 4 on the Oculus Store version that's currently there, you just have a lot less ammo than you did with the other levels prior to that. So you just start off with your basic handgun and you have just very little ammo. You don't find any new weapons until quite a while, and you have to beat some very tough enemies with just your handgun. So that was the only real challenge to me in this game, and the only thing that felt different. Other than that, though, the game just felt completely the same. It felt like I had played the first level just 4 different times, with not enough variety to justify the game. And it's really sad because I think this game did have great potential. You do have full locomotion and you do have snap turning. Unfortunately, the locomotion does feel a bit floaty. Like, it doesn't really feel like you're walking. You do clip through several objects, so there's countless clipping. I do remember getting stuck in some portions, but then I was able to teleport out to get unstuck. But that didn't happen very often. Most of my problem was just the clipping through objects, the lack of physics, bumping into things and stuff like that. The enemy variety just really wasn't there. I mean, there is quite a bit of enemy variety as far as the first episode, but then it just never changes, and you just see these enemies over and over again, and it's really just more of them, but not too much more until you get to the very last episode, where you just have a lack of new weapons to deal with them, and so you just have to deal with them with just your handgun. So they're just really, as far as gameplay, as far as enemy AI, it's just really not there. The enemy AI is just not very smart. They seem to really just run at you. The death animations look funny. The enemies move in strange ways. There's just not a fluid movement that either you have or the enemies have. Combat is not very fluid. Sometimes it feels like your weapons should hit but aren't hitting. When they hit the enemies, there's like blood splatter, and it's just a little too much. It just doesn't look realistic. And when enemies shoot at you, it just, if you see the bullets in the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. They just look like round discs floating towards you. Again, not doesn't look very good. Just the poor animations overall, poor 3D modeling, poor textures. Just the level design wasn't very varied. We never really see anything really new throughout our jaunt through the entire game. And so it's just rather disappointing by the end. However, there is fun to be had here. So I know I've been saying lots of negative things about this game. And yes, I was disappointed after having finished the first episode and expecting, a better experience, and then being disappointed. But still, all in all, this is not a bad game. And you have to keep in mind, the retail price is only $12.99. So you can't really expect AAA quality. And it's really obvious that it's lacking here. So yeah, you're not going to get the AAA experience. You're going to have to deal with some jankiness, some lack of smooth animations. The death animations are very poor. The walking is not fluid. And the level design is not very creative. And just, the graphics overall are just subpar. And the sound work also is all over the place. It's not very good sound work. On the other hand, it does have some classic Doom-like fun. So, there's lots of doors opening where enemies will come and rush at you. And when you see these monstrous enemies in front of you and you have your shotgun, you have to shoot them in the face and see all this blood splatter everywhere. There is some fun to be had. Unfortunately, a lot of this fun just repeats itself after the first level. So I was in a real high after the first level, just expecting this to be a great game. And, again, I was disappointed. It doesn't mean it's a terrible game, not for the price. But it's not what I would call a good game either. I would say this is better than the average VR game. But that's mostly because the average VR game is not very good. So overall, I'm going to have to give this game a 6 out of 10. And if you really want a Doom clone for VR, and you're okay with all the limitations of this game, then this is something I could recommend for you. But for most people, I would say to pass on this, unless you're just really itching for a Doom clone, and you're okay with all the poor animations, the poor graphics, the poor sounds, and just the lack of creative level design. I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Rift Reviews. If you like my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.